What's up, Zach? Congrats on snagging that biggest bear. I am curious how I always knew the 1% for the SSR was going to be a pretty sizable uptick, but I'm kind of curious how the 4% chance is going to roll. I will say at the very least, the like Jack's kit seems like solid, honestly, especially in Earth, which generally does a lot of buffs. The Wind Girl, like I can't tell if her kit's like good or weird. She gives herself flurry. How many turns is this? One turn of triple echo with flurry. Gets substitute effect upon using a damage skill. I'm curious how much the earth damage reduction is. And then she ends her attack stem cooldown when she Ogies. And then casts her skill 1. Basically guaranteed every time. Decent for people lacking all the options. Plus for guild wars. Yeah, I mean I could definitely see it. Because she has this, right? So she's kind of like, it's another way of just like, unless they randomly decide to make like the trigger for EX Plus or even Nightmare 90 be a like single target, then she'll cast this every time. And even then, I guess like, hmm. Yeah, well, because like yeah, I'm trying to think for like new players, right? Because it's like they've always mentioned the collab characters are more geared towards new players, even though ironically enough, it's like you would never really tell them a new player to run that because well, just not worth, especially when there's a Ledge Fest banner running next to it with better rates and stronger characters. But yeah, Jack is definitely like because since he doesn't consume the charge bar, right? It's like you can always just feed it into here without worrying about it. Unless you get like a weird situation where whatchamacallit, where it's like he gets 100 charge bar and then like on the turn that this comes off cooldown. Which to be fair, I don't actually know that'd be bad. Like yeah, you'd be missing out on an unworldly with the skill activation, but he's also like activating his skills stuff. Because the cooldowns here aren't really that short, or aren't that long either. And then this is a one turn cooldown, so you're just punching things every turn. Yeah, like between this and this in Earth, like I can see him being really strong actually. I don't know if I'd put him at like Luffy tier, but I can definitely see him being like he's definitely a solid character because if you pair him with with like if you get like Olivia right, who's a standard character as like a new player, and you get Jack, like you have a pretty powerful frontline. I'd say probably like the only fight you wouldn't be able to do would be Diaspora with that lineup as for hosting. You'd be able to more than like well, you could probably definitely jump in and like hit it a couple times before it dies. I don't know if you can get in before the hunting Zerkers and other people, but Jack's kit is definitely pretty good once you see everything. But I think it's only good because it's Earth. Because Earth has a lot of buffs that they spam out. Yeah, I don't know. I will say their models are pretty cool. But then again, I don't think like they do a bad job of doing their chibis. Doing SSR tickets. So it's just Snake, right? Usual things ones. Oh, Snake and Kambira are up, bro. Just look at this. I think like Vayne is literally the only character I'm missing from Ledgefest. Yeah, they don't add something like extremely powerful for like fire. I doubt I'm gonna spark on the Zodiac banner. I need to use my Karam tickets. I think I was slacking on something. We're almost back up to 2 whole sparks saved up. Looking at the tickets. Tickets are kinda, oh, 30 tickets, never mind, I'm not as far behind on that as I thought I was. I thought I'd used more of those. But yeah, I definitely feel like at least their kits this time, uh it would definitely be the case of like if you get it as a new character. I think they're both fine. Like Setsuna, it's like from a more higher level perspective, like longer gameplay, it's like I don't know, like I don't know much use for her, but definitely she's definitely not bad. It's just again like it's the same problem as the first one though, right? Like it's so hard to like they designed their whole shtick was, oh, the collab characters are balanced more towards mid, like newer players to get them up and running, and like new to mid level players. But for either of those, it's so hard as like a player who's played for a long time to be like, yeah, roll on the collab banners, because the like, yeah, they're standard characters that are nice to have, but if we're honest, like you can also get those standard characters by rolling on the Ledgefest and Flash Gala, which have like the SSR rates increased. Like, there's just no point. Like realistically, if they wanted the 1%'s like great, don't get me wrong, but like I don't understand why the collab banners don't just follow the banner, like the regular banner rates, right? Like so when Ledgefest and Flash are active, like the gotcha banner uh whatchamacallit, the yeah, so like when Flash and Ledgefest are up, right, then the collab should have like the increased SSR rates, and then when they're not up, they can have like something else. Like I don't know, it's just so weird. I still feel like it's hard to uh recommend a new character or someone who's like, man, what should I do? Like if they care about, strength of grid, it's just like it's hard to recommend them to pull on the gotcha banner because, or the collab banner, because it's like just pull on Ledgefest, just pull on Flash. To be honest, right now I would, well, I mean it's like 50-50. If you don't have, like right now I would tell a mid-level player, I'd be like just pull on whatever, like pull on Ledge or Flash depending on which one you have like less of the grand characters of, because both of them I think are pretty equal count for pretty good grand characters. I think Flash has a couple more because that one's gotten like some really strong ones recently. It's got like Zeta, Europa, Gabriel, Cosmos, Orlogia. Like there's a lot of strong things in Flash that are just more relevant than I don't know how long the 2 buffs he gives himself every turn lasts, but he has 6 options for it. They last long enough, he can fill 6 out of 10 himself. Yeah, that is a good question. Oh, and he has a support EMP for boost to charge bar at battle start. I'm assuming it'd probably be what, like 30%? Skill damage cap up. His EMPs aren't like terrible. Gotcha swords like kind of whatever. It's a 50% damage cut for Earth. That's not bad. Granted, she doesn't seem particularly tanky at times. I don't know if that would be enough to. That might make her a little dangerous for full auto. Just supplement skill damage though, with skill damage cap for EMPs. That's not bad. Yeah, I think in Earth, like his 10 buff thing is gonna be disgusting. Like it's not gonna be like it's gonna be just a bonus to have. Especially if you have whatchamacallit. Like I'm telling you, like I see Jack getting used a good amount of use with Olivia, honestly, because Olivia is like how many buffs are on this? One, two, four, yeah, 5 buffs. Six when it turns into Twilight Wings. Yeah, like it's gonna be so easy in Earth. Because even if you don't have that, if you have like Yugu or Chicken, like you just have buffs out the wazoo. Like the 10 buffs thing is gonna be such a huge thing for him. Pretty solid. I guess he's the character I hope to get. Shion and Diablo are in the well, I guess required. Night Sword Edition to put them in there indefinitely. Yeah, I would say I was mildly disappointed when I went to go. I was just like, oh, is Shion there? And then, no Shion. Sad. Yeah, also I decided to finish this instead of do side project because I really want to get this up and running, especially after I figured out yesterday how to like do it. Actually, one second. I like barely finished my lunch before. Oh, that's what I was forgetting. Gonna use it. I'll be back. I didn't realize that. I forget that that scene, the picture is like a copy of the starting scene, but it's like it was like resized differently. I didn't realize that that just had it. Just all it shows is his little paw. Just there. But yeah, actually, you know, in hindsight, I'm not too surprised that Shion and Diablo would have to wait till Slime getting out of the side story if they were gonna add them as like permanent additions, because Shion could have some use without Rimuru, but Diablo is like quite literally borderline useless without Rimuru. Like so much of his power is just locked behind it. Because I remember people showing like someone was showing a comparison video of using him with and without, and they were just like, he's just absolutely garbage. I'm not too surprised that that might be why they were just like, probably shouldn't put them in there. So the question would be, right, when slash if they do add them, like, you know, with this like gotcha, this collab pool growing, would they also get the 1%, or would they only ever put the 1% on the like the current collab characters? Right, like kind of treat it like a boosted rate, or would they just have like a slightly different boosted percentage? Right, so like not have give them like the full 1%, but maybe give them like 0.5 or something. So you still have a higher chance of getting them over a standard character, but you still have like double the chance to get like the current characters kind of deal. Trying to decide how I want to do the begin one. No, that's not what I need it to be. What am I gonna write? Brain is not braining. It's like Oh, how would that break that up, actually? I would break that up. Hmm. Maybe it wouldn't work if I use the split there. Oh, actually, that's not gonna work if I mean, I guess technically I could. Right? Because it's like... 'Yeah. That means it would have to be... 1, 0, 1, 2. Yeah, I kind of figured that wasn't gonna work. Okay, so I can just check, I guess. Huh. I have to use a library. I guess it would just have to be a... Yeah. It would have to be based off of based off of I have to like check what's in it. Then you check the conditional. Hmm. How do I execute the jump one? Uh, hmm. The jump one is the one that I have to like figure out. I guess it would have to be. Will it always be jump? It should always be jump, right? Yeah, it'll always be jump. So then we just make a function called jump. And then in here we'll just put mm, zero one. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I need continue. I mean, it's probably worth using. I'm gonna test that part out. All right, so the jump function would need the We need the list, right? And then it would need whether it's quit or begin. Because the problem is that they have quit semicolon or quit colon, but that's not what's getting typed in for the commands. Or like when they actually see use, which is mildly annoying. Ugh, I slept on my neck weird. So like the spot where my neck, like the muscles where my neck connects to like my right shoulder, feel kind of tight when I look to my left. Which is pretty often because left is the monitor that has the chat, and left is where I have my clock. Because I'm more used to looking at my clock that I have set up over there than I am at using just hitting start and looking at that clock. Uh, yeah. Hmm. I need to work on it for do a different thing. Yeah, it'd have to be like return. Oh, well, I can't do return. But, right. Uh, 6. Yeah, 1. Yeah. Okay. 4, 5. I print. Am I going? Oh, whoop. Zenderman, welcome in. How is your day going? If 0, A, 1. Oh. I was so confused. I didn't realize that I had. And now it should be 5. So what it needs to do is so I have test index for test. Alright, that should work. Go write that over for the other one. Can't complain, listen to some music. Jam it out is always good. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. A little tired, but that was mostly just from staying up late. But can't really complain. Had some fried chicken for lunch, which was a surprise. Though my dog in his old age is getting grumpy. He doesn't really growl and bark at me much anymore because, well, he spends most of the time with me, and you know, if he barks at me, I just bark in his face. But I was taking a shower. And I stepped out of the shower, and like apparently there was a phone call, and for some weird reason he's gotten this like habit where he barks a lot whenever there's a phone call, and like I don't know where it developed from, honestly, but apparently, you know, my parents were trying to get him to uh well, apparently, because like usually like when he's like in the way, like and he's not moving right, I'll like tap him on the butt like very lightly, like with my foot, like I was just because he's like a little, like he's a corgi, right? So I'll just tap him on the butt, you know, or I'll just like gently like scooch his butt over with my foot. Apparently my old man did that to try to get him to shush, and my dog growled at him. I wasn't there, I didn't see what happened. My parents don't hit my dog like that all whatsoever. But like, and then apparently mom was trying to get him to like go up to my room because, you know, his timeout is in my room. And so she was trying to get him to go, and apparently he growled at her too when she did that, and she wasn't like touching him or anything. I don't know. All I know is I heard that when I was like drying my, yeah. Ooh, sorry, drying myself off with the towel, and then I came out and I looked at him, and he kind of like had the guilty conscience on his face, like he kind of knew he fucked up, and then I was just like, move, right? Like I didn't have to touch him, I didn't have to do anything. Oh, the only thing I had to do was his nail got like string from the blanket that he lays on. That's like loosen that up, but he's just it's just I don't know, he's just a grumpy fucker nowadays. What kind of dog is he's a corgi mixed with something else. I don't know what the something else is, because he had a flatmate back at university when we moved into an apartment after we were in the dorms, and he brought his dog, and the dog was already pregnant, but he supposedly didn't know she was pregnant, but it was fairly obvious she was pregnant after she gave birth, because I was like, well, maybe she's just always been chunky, and then she gave birth, and it was like, no, And then he made a comment like, "Oh, that's how she used to look." It was like, "Okay, you're just dumb. Okay, good to know." But so I don't know what he's mixed with. I think it's like some other sort of herd dog. But he's especially like when he got like full grown, he kind of looked more corgi-esque. But I feel like as he gets older, you start seeing like whatever he's mixed in. And sometimes he has like pointer tendencies where he'll like point, like he'll do the thing at attention where he's staring in a direction, and then he'll lift it like I think it's like his front right paw up, and he'll have it in that little like hanging position that pointers do. But I don't know. That's like the only thing. He doesn't do it often though. It's usually like when a noise catches him off guard instead of distance that he does it. Oh wait, no, we don't need. Oh wait, no, yeah, we do need. Hmm. Oh no, it's going to have to be what's it called? Okay, and then in here it would become count equals function. And location would be two dogs at the moment. Doberman is pretty much a guard dog, and Newfoundland is an absolute vibe. Oh, yeah, doggos. I'm jealous. Yeah, originally, like, he wasn't. My plan on getting a dog was I was planning on getting like some sort of Mastiff breed because I loved Mastiffs. They're like probably my favorite breeds. And it was like up in the air every time. I wanted to get either a Bull Mastiff or I wanted to get a South African Mastiff, also known as Boer Bulls. But Boer Bulls are like incredibly hard to get your hands on, like an actual, like a real one, and expensive. So I was probably just gonna get a Bull Mastiff. And then the thing with the flatmate happened, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna keep the puppy because I was the one who was like basically taking care of the dog full time. Like, I don't know why he brought the dog because he just literally didn't do anything for the dog, didn't walk the dog, didn't feed the dog, didn't like do anything. Like, I was the person that did all that. So I was like, I'm going to take one of the puppies is mine. And he was like, okay. So that's how that happened. This goes here. We'll continue there. And then if it doesn't rip either of these, like any of this stuff, it should just continue along just fine. Hopefully. We'll have to see if that's how it actually pans out. Quite tall, 6'8". I got some big dog and some little ones. Fair. Fair. Yeah, like I don't know. I'm not really a fan of like smaller dogs. I'm pretty sure like corgis would probably be the smallest I ever go, and to be fair, they're not overly big. But like there's definitely times I'm just like Like I'm like, why must you be so short? Because I'm just average height. I'm 5'9". So like, and it's me, and I'm like, sometimes I don't want to have to like bend over to pet them. I'm like, why can't you just be taller dog? Lazy. So I could imagine. Even though, oh, what was it? We had a family friend who was like 6'5", and all he ever owned as for dogs was was dachshunds. That's all he ever owned. He had like over the course of the years that we knew him, he had like 5 total. Like kind of semi spread out. Like when one would get older, he would get a younger one, and then have them socialize. And then when the older one passed away, he'd have the younger one, and kind of did that. And it was just funny. It was just funny to watch this guy who was like he was built like a brick house too. Like he was like 6'5", built like a brick house, and he just got this little dachshund. It was supposed to be so fun. It'd be kind of cute and funny. Like the little ones feel giant. Ah, so this is what the world seems like from the height of God. And then that's when they start power tripping. So like, you can't do that. Oh, I wasn't. Yeah, so far the grid with 2 Diaspora attack katanas is the one that's most consistent in clearing Colossus. Still fails every once in a while, but it's a bit more consistent than any of the other grids I've gotten. Yeah, I think though, because mine's pretty old. He turned 12 this last October. So he's like kind of past his age minimum, and honestly, he's been showing it pretty badly. You're supposed to be there. That's jail. That's supposed to be cozy and comfortable. I can't believe this dog. He was looking remorseful. No, my Yui's. Like up until probably 15 minutes ago, and I look over and he's all laid down, all comfy, like on a. Cause he, I say it's jail, but it's his cage, and he likes being in his cage anyway, and his dog bed's in there. But for like at least a solid hour after I put him in there, he was kind of like, looking repentful, and then whatever. Now he's like on his side, just doing his like sleepy, sleepy noises. It's like you're not supposed to be getting comfortable in there. You're in jail. He's like, yeah, yeah, whatever you say, man. Uh, should always be. Do I need anything else? I think that's it. I think all that's left is to test it and see what breaks. I don't think I need this continue. We'll see if they need them, but I don't think they do. Okay. So this one 10. Actually, I should probably do something else. Well, no, I should still work because I was thinking about like going to the quit, but like since quit won't proc anything, it should just instantly go to end, and then end should just break the loop. That should be fine. And this one should just be jump again. I don't think this will work the first try though. Alright, so it's MOVA1, MOVB10, begin, if, print, add, sub, jump, quit, end. I guess we'll technically make it, because it'll probably be different for other stuff. Jump. Oh wait, no, it's always supposed to be jump. Actually, I think that's we don't need to worry about that. Well, how do I find out? Huh. Well, nothing broke, but it didn't print. Oh, because that's okay. I understand why. Oh no, it's stuck in an infinite loop. Why? Oh, because I never have it increase the count from this. Okay. That is not the whole problem. Hmm. Okay, I get stuck on the second one. So 2 is the begin. Oh, okay. Because it. Okay, I understand now. I understand where I messed up. I didn't give it something for. Print. OV. Add. Sub. Mole. Jump. If. And I get stuck on 7. Jesus. 7 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Did I not do the subtraction? Oh, I did. I just didn't put. Okay. Yeah, I keep forgetting the count. At least it's a pretty easy like problem to solve. I mean, it's kind of infinitely looping. I don't think it should be taking that long to finish. Which means I think the conditional for if isn't written correctly. Because it would go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which means I don't think it's increasing the values. Why is that number so big? Yeah. Yeah, so the if one is written poorly. It's not actually catching the the thing correctly. Hmm. So at least I think like the rest of it is fine. The if one is the part that's like an issue. Indes. Index. Yeah, okay, so it does that, right? So now doesn't rewrite it in here. Um, but it's not the jump one, which I knew the jump one wasn't a problem. The issue is how I have the subtraction one. But no, I think it's like no, because I think the subtraction and addition one are still working because it was still incrementing by ones, right? 2, 3, 4. It's just with how slow it's incrementing, I don't understand why it's like starting at 1229, like 12,029. Mm, wait, let us test this. Okay, so that works. Yeah. I think the problem is when we have add one. Okay, that works. So yeah, so the issue I think is the jump. Because I don't think it's resetting the count the way I'm expecting it to. Hmm. Why does this ring an error now? Oh, is that what the problem is? Actually, no, because we didn't even reach that problem on the one. Why is it a none type? Yeah, this is an integer. Why does that get turned into a none type all of a sudden? 0, 1, 2. 2 calls in the function. The function returns the index. Goes to jump. Count should be that's an integer. Why? I don't understand why it's like, where's the none type? This is an integer. This is an integer. Why is count a none? Oh, I didn't even make it in here. That's why it's a none type. Oh, because I wrote it wrong. That explains a lot. Yeah, because I have it concatenating the colon. Might be, might be. Okay, so the jump works fine. So then the issue is the if statement. So then in here, we go I hate when it gets this weird, like, stupid square on it, because it kind of just makes it hard to tell where the cursor is, and it pisses me off a little bit. But no, this has to go. A wind. Had my thing too far over. Yeah. The issue comes with when the jumps are called into effect, and I'm not sure why. Yeah, it's returning too because it keeps like getting stuck in this loop. Like I'm not sure like what point. So it goes a equals 1, b equals 2, then we do the begin, and then if a is greater than 2 than b, jump to the quit. Like I'm assuming there's something wrong in how I have this written. Well, not an assumption. It's like it has to be it. Like we've tested everything else, and everything else works fine, right? We tested the jump to quit up here, like so that it would just skip over adding. That worked fine. We tested the adding. We didn't really test the subtracting, but we can test that next. But that should work because that was basically just a copy and paste of the addition one, just flipping the sign from plus to minus. Even though I also don't have the one for multiplication in. So that works. The quit works with the jump. So that means the begin one should work. So the only thing left is I have this poorly written, which I'm assuming the problem is that it never goes into these loops. Yeah, okay. So as you can see, it's printing A, but it never prints 1, which means I have these messed up. 0, 1, 2, 3. Because that's not what you're... Okay, understood. I got it now. Because I forgot to put... It's this. The problem. Pretty sure. I was thinking earlier that this was something I was gonna have to do. I mean, this should also be an int. It's still run it more times than it should have, though. 1, 2. Maybe. Is it like that? Alright, Goku, get some good rest. I keep for the sleepy lurks. Okay, so we solved one of the problems. We have solved one of the problems. Now the issue we have is for some reason it is adding like it doesn't make sense the order it's getting added in. Because B should never increase. So it's 1, 2. It's A, B, A, B, A, B. But also this would be like 10 times easier if I just did this. I don't know why I didn't do that to begin with. But it should be 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2. I don't get why it's 2, 3 at the end there. Because it shouldn't be sorted in the list, is it? No, it should just be appending to the list. Right? Yeah, A is B. A is 3, B is 2. I don't know why the list is getting sorted by itself for no reason. One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. Why is it printing the B first here? Is what I don't know. Because B is always being printed after A. But for some reason, it is. Because it's also not like an odd number, right? Like it's an even number, and it's running 3 times, which is what it's supposed to do. Oh, this is why. I was like, why is it printing 3? Because it's because it was printing an extra A. That's why. So it's technically A, B. It was like it was printing an extra A. I don't know the exact parameters for it. No, it was like A, B, A, B, A. Yeah. It was A, B, A, B, A. Was how it was working. Because I was always like printing it over when it was like bigger. Okay, this one's not working how it's supposed to, but we have something now at least. Oh wait, never mind. It's they changed the values on it to make it smaller. 1, 10, 2, 9, 3, 8, 4, 7, 5, 6. Yep. It works. We don't need this. That's what I was assuming. We don't need this anymore. At least I'm assuming. Oh wait, the last one was not supposed to be. Yeah, okay, I figured. Never mind. Where did it get messed up? At 20. This one still needs the end. There we go. Yeah, I still needed the int for the list value because that in and of itself is still going to be a string. Get rid of this. God, I love functions. Factorial, right? So I need to do this, but for multiplication. Grab this. This is actually kind of fun. I still hold my gripe that I mentioned before, that I still think that if they wanted to do stuff like this, at the very least the exercises leading up to this should have been the same way. But like, the exercise itself is pretty fun. It's a pretty interesting little concept. It's mostly because I'm too lazy to read all that to be programmed too instead. I still can't believe I walked out with 3 celestial weapons from Guild Wars and just never realized. Because I thought I had checked. Oh, you know what it was? No, I checked the mailbox because I thought my weapon box was full and I didn't see any in there, and that's why I assumed I only got the axe. That makes sense. That makes sense now. That makes a lot of sense, actually. But in actuality, I had I should have checked my weapon box. I didn't check that. And then we take this. limit breaks. Everything. So it prints the one and then just goes straight to the end. I didn't jump to the beginning. Because I forgot to flip that. 1, 2, 6, 24, 120, 750, 50, 40, 40, 320. Ah, Why did it stop early? It worked fine last time, but it didn't work fine this time. It should have had one more number. I have something written wrong here. Oh, oops. I wrote that on the wrong line. Yeah, I accidentally deleted that top one. No, now it's stuck on that. So that one's not the problem. Why does it stop one short? Isn't it B? It is B. So why is it telling there's a key error there? Yeah, see, it does reach here. Oh, because there's a problem with how I have it adding the number. You good for the monthly mission of 100 fights now? Good, because I'm gonna need it. That bum has been so stingy with swords, dog. I mean, I say this, but well, I can't give Colossus too much shit. He gave me like 4 axes, like recently. I went from having 1 axe that was one off of full limit break to I have a full limit break X, and now I have a second X that's one off a full limit break. So I can't give Colossus too much. I can, but I won't. Yugu, on the other hand, is the Chev problem all over. Well, no, actually, not really, because Chev I still needed the second spear, but it's the Celeste problem. I had so many katanas, so many daggers, and I only got like 5 clubs from Celeste. Meanwhile, Yugu is like, I don't even know how many hearts and how many fists, because I already have those on rotate, and I only got like the 4 swords. Yeah, the issue is here B turns into 10. Why is it giving a value error? This is not how you... Key error A. A. I'm confused. So why does that work? I'm so confused. I'm actually confused why it doesn't. Oh, because it's printing it before it gets added. That's why. Okay, never mind. I understand now. Hmm? Oh, I guess I just can't have that there. Because it's in the elif. Okay, I guess. Sure. I need to figure out how to fix it though. Because it's not right. Why isn't it right? Like it should do the multiplication. Like it does the multiplication. Like they say it's supposed to put one more number, but it's supposed to multiply it by 10 before it and then prints the A being multiplied by 10 one more time before it before it ends. But and it does that. Like it multiplies the A by B after it turns into 10. But because it's supposed to do it if it's equal to 10, it's still supposed to jump, but it's not jumping back to begin. That's why. That's why. It was because of this, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's because of that. Never mind. I fixed it. We can go to break time with peace of mind. That's a fun project. I like it. I like it. I guess we can go check out. Let's see. Let's see if, what the Reddit is saying. I'm curious if anybody's like tossed any polls at it, or we're all just gonna wait uh for the free tickets to start rolling in. Oh, that's cool. Someone did a Katarina cosplay. Let's see. Oh, the new soft cap for skills and summon called is up. Additional soft cap for skill and summon gem has been added. The point at which this new soft cap takes effect will depend on the damage specs of the skill slash summon in question. Ones with lower per hit damage specs will run into it sooner. Hasn't been or isn't applied when Ascendant Prayer is activated. Okay, so Ascendant Prayer users are still safe. Uh, ah. Let's see. Oh, that was scroll. All right. What people got to say? Yeah, that's actually kind of funny because whatchamacallit. I think the other problem with the collab gotcha banners is, well, to be fair, with how the breakpoints are, I don't know when they would not just be royally fucked to put one down for at least for long term players, because it's like they did slime in November, which is just after summer Halloween, where most of the whales are tossing their money at Halloween. Um, and then everybody else has just spent all their resources on summer units, so they're not spending anything. And then we're all waiting for a holiday to New Year because Zodiac. And then now they're doing the Nejima in February, which has the Valentine one around the corner, which Valentine is somewhat notorious for dropping some pretty strong units. Looking at you, Valentine, Grimnir, Monica, Aglavale. Into Anniversary, which is like, I don't know when they could put a collab, like a collab gotcha banner with like the way they're handling it now, and like most of us just being like, don't pull on that banner. Now life size plush. Oh, I saw that on I think Twitter. I think Twitter. Someone retweeted it. Life size plush of guard device. Like, if I need a life size plush of Blastoise or Nidoking, don't even talk to me about it. Those are my dreams. Those are my dreams. Where's that life-size Whalmer at, bro? Where's my Whalmer, bros? I forget. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. I don't know what the whale's called. I don't care for him. All I'm saying is people like the all right. So I will say one of the like misnomers of when you're going to Reddit and stuff like that is that realistically speaking, everybody that puts on Reddit is anybody who writes on a Reddit, a forum, or whatever for any game you play is quite honestly the vocal minority, because most people, I for instance, I've never posted anything on the Grand Blue Reddit, right? But like, there's such a large chunk of player bases that just do not go to the Reddits, right? And the forums, if a game has a forum. And it's just like, in this case, I think it's like, it's a little easier because I feel like the Grand Blue community is a bit more, especially in the East, is a bit more vocal on like Twitter and stuff. But like, there's so many, what is it? And like World of Warcraft was one where they would make changes and people would be really confused because they'd be like, man, nobody's like people are complaining, they're saying they don't like this stuff and blah 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 blah. And then when like numbers would come out for like some of the changes they would make, it would end up that as a whole, it would be more positive for player retention, because what was happening was that the vocal minority of players, which are very like, you know, invested in the game, weren't liking the changes, but the silent majority, which was mostly just casual people who only got to play like maybe an hour a day or something, really enjoyed the changes and they were playing more often, and it kind of caused a bit of a issue with dev to player ratios because you know a lot of times people would put feedback in, and then they wouldn't see that feedback like iterated on, and they'd be like, well, they're not taking our feedback into account, and it's like well, that's not necessarily true, but we also just don't know what other data they're looking at because they don't tell us because they have way more data on hand than we ever would. But like I don't know what's going to happen because so far, especially like on the Ian side, obviously, because it's so hard. This is such like a common thing that, but I feel like gotcha games like they have to try to like I don't know do what they got to do, but it's so hard when you have an established system to upend that system for what the players perceive as a worse evolution of the system, right? Like honestly, I still think them using us complaining about more characters to make the collab gotcha banner a pretty flimsy excuse because all you have to do is point over at the Cinderella Idol girls and be like, it didn't really affect you guys for like how many of those you released, right? Like, what is it? Princess Connect gave us three. Like, One Piece gave us three. Like it's just I don't know. It's weird to me that their whole thing was, yeah, we did the collab gotcha banner because you guys want more characters, but then like the number of free characters we get kind of went down by like one because we were on average getting like three depending on the collab, and now we get two for free and two on the gotcha banner, and it's just like kind of weird. But I guess that's also probably because most collabs they have they probably can't figure out to do more like maybe in like the time schedule, right? So I thought that was weird, especially because like a lot of the more recent like bigger collabs, it's been well, I mean it's been a bit of a mixed bag, right? Because like Demon Slayer, we got what three in that, but then we got like two in My Hero, and then we got two in Jujutsu Kaisen, which were the some of the more recent ones. But then we got like three in One Piece, like. And to be fair, there has been collabs we've gotten like one, right? Because there was like the Final Fantasy 11 collab where all we got was Prish, if I'm mistaken. Oh wait, no, we got the samurai girl right from that one too. The fire chick that nobody uses because her kit was absolutely atrocious. Or was that before? I don't remember. Uh, that might have been from a different collab actually. Now that I think about it, that's also Final Fantasy related. But yeah, I don't know. Like I find the excuse I found it a little flimsy because I'm pretty sure that like you know I like players are never gonna be happy, right? Like I promise you, there was players that weren't happy on the slime collab that Benny Maru wasn't in, right? That you know I'm pretty sure there would have been there's people that probably weren't happy that Benny Maru wasn't in, that the Shrine Maiden chick wasn't in, that the Ninja dude wasn't in. There was probably some people that wanted the goblin that rides the dog in. There's probably people that wanted the old like samurai Ronin dude in. Like they're never gonna win. So that's why it struck me as a pretty flimsy excuse that they did. Because like for instance, for One Piece, I wanted a playable, obviously Luffy. It was gonna be playable, obviously, as the main character, and then I wanted Zoro as a solo unit, but him and Sanji have been getting paired. Even in like the anime, they get referred to as like a duo for like forever. So I wasn't surprised that the duo units there, but I was hoping Brook would get a playable like unit, right? But he didn't, and I kind of just went, oh well, he's in the summon, shrug shoulders, it happens, stuff like that. Like Jujutsu Kaisen, right? They like technically playable unit wise, we only got two, but character wise, we got four, right? Because you had Maki and the other girl paired together, and then you had the two bros paired together, right? I think that's fine. Like I don't really think that's a problem. I find it so weird that they, with the collab thing, they're like, well, you guys wanted more characters, so we had to like figure out a way to, justify the extra, you know, cost. But then, realistically speaking, we haven't gotten much more out of it aside from a banner that nobody likes. So I'm kind of curious how that's going to affect their what you call it like the go about for it. Okay, so he fixed this because I'm no longer dumb. Let me make sure that program 1 still works with the change. Doesn't work. What? It worked fine before, but now it doesn't work. What do you mean invalid literal for int base 10? Oh, because see now. Right, this doesn't work. I'm kind of just trolling. It has to be 3. How did that other one work? Oh, because it completely bypassed. Wait, no, how did that other one work? What? Wait, how did that other program work? Huh? I'm so confused. This one worked when it shouldn't have. I don't know how this one worked. Oh, I guess it worked because oh no, I know how it worked. It's because it always wanted the else statement. It didn't want the if statement, so I didn't care. But that was like fucked. Alright. Character-wise, Love Life collabs are the winners with throwing in everyone. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they also had like how many different events like attached to them? Like Jesus Christ. I think they have like what, an entire page basically of and a side story page to themselves, if not more. Which, to be honest, I think it was cool that they were able to do that. I've never been a huge Love Life fan at all whatsoever, and I was still like, yeah, that's pretty sick. But it's just, and they had like, you know, they were pretty good characters too, all things considered. But then again, power creep back then wasn't as big of a issue. To be fair, I still think that I've still seen a couple that use the dark trio for the Love Live ones. Yeah, like I don't know. I think they were doing just fine. I don't know, because at least like every time I went to the Reddit, right, for us, for like the West, there'd be people that'd be like, man, I wish so, like for instance in Demon Slayer, there was people that were like, man, I wish, you know, this Hashira, whatever they're called, was playable. But it's still cool to, right? Like that was kind of the sentiment, was like, man, it would have been nice if my favorite one was playable, but it's still cool to see like my favorite manga anime game in Grand Blue, right? Like it's still cool to have a character from them, like that kind of deal. So I don't know if in the East maybe there was a bit more vocal complaint. I don't know. To me, at least, like again, as from a viewpoint from like this side of things, their reasoning to me felt a little shaky. But you know, and the shakiness kind of got doubled down a little bit when we saw how bad the banners were. So it's just like I'm not quite sure what like how it's gonna pan out for them in the long run, because it doesn't seem like anybody's happy with it. Because sometimes, you know, it's a case of like in the West, because of how we view things, we're like, oh, we don't like it, but then in the East community they're like, it's fine. But in this one, from what I've seen, it's like both sides are just like, what is this shit? Side games. So it'll be interesting to see how it gets panned out. Whether they'll give up on the attempt, or they'll like actually make the banner somewhat usable, or if they'll just like move them over to you know, it'll just move them. Like there's some people that are saying that maybe they'll end up like, they wanted them to put the collab characters on like, just make them sparkable in the regular Flash and Ledgefest banners, so they would have like the rate ups and all that stuff. I don't know. Kind of curious to see how they'll pan out with it. Realistically, in the grand scheme of things, it's not really like, okay, realistically, it's not as big of a negative as some people kind of like doomer it to be. We're getting free 50 rolls for, even though the rates are shit, it's still, you can still luck sack a pretty decent standard character, because there's a good amount of them nowadays that are nice to have. Like, I like, off the top of my head, you can still get Ragazzo, you can still get Anne. Wait, is Anne in that one? I don't know. Actually, Anne might be in the second classic draw. I don't remember. But like Ragazzo, Olivia, Goblin Mage, like they're still really solid like standard characters you can get and move on. The chances of getting them pretty fucking low, but you know, it's still a chance. You can still potentially get them. And then if you luck out and get a collab character, cool, fine. But I don't know. Like it's something that'd be like, I think at the end of it, like after getting past the first one, I think my brain has gotten to the point where would I rather not have them and just run the have the just whatever we get as collab characters be it? Probably, because you know, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't overly upset when some of the other collabs didn't add characters that I thought would have been cool to have. To be fair, like, because like for instance, I thought it would have been cool to have the whatchamacallit, the crying dude from Demon Slayer. I still think they did a good job of giving us like good characters from it. To be honest, my main gripe has never really been, oh, I want like more characters from the collabs, and more like I want the kits to be marginally better and be slightly more useful. Because like for instance, Rengoku, right, the fire dude from Demon Slayer, had a kit that was so good, and then they gave him one passive that made him so garbage because of the way he worked, and everybody was like, dog, he could have been so good. And like there was some niche usages for him here and there, but for the most part he like fell off like really hard. I think Shinobu was the one that saw pretty long-term use because she had a heal, and then the poison was actually pretty useful. But it was just like, that's, to me, that's the complaint I usually heard the most, is people being like, man, I really wish the collab characters were just slightly more useful. Like, you know, obviously we all don't want, well, I mean, we all would love Luffy level like collab characters all the time, but that's like unrealistic, let's be honest. But you know, a lot of what I heard was just people be like, "Man, I just wish I could just use the characters that I want to use." Like it's so wild to me that, for instance, what the One Piece collab was like, when it comes to like power level, probably is the best one out of all of them. Luffy's still incredibly powerful. He keeps up with. Obviously, he's getting power crept with like Percy. Well, actually, Percy with that, but like Grand Zeta, uh, stuff like that. But like if you have him, like you're chilling. Now, you know, rest in peace, new players that missed out on him and they want to play Fire. Should have started earlier. But Robin is still used in Siegfried setups and ones where you're like chaining multiple characters to block damage. Like they're used not as a sacrificial lamb. Uh, Zoro Sanji is still a really good OTK character for Dark if you don't have like the more higher end setups. Like, you know, there's still uses. And it's just like I still see them pop up in setup recommendations and stuff like that because they're good. They fill in niches that are still useful. And it's just like, you know, I want more stuff like that. To be fair, I think Jack is probably going to be that way because his numbers look really good and he's in an element that he can make full use of it because you just make him Olivia's partner and he's more than likely going to have the, like, with that stacked with everything else that Earth has, will more than likely have the 10 buffs like at all times. Like, I mean, just look at this, right? It's just like, yeah, all I gotta say is yeah. Like, like for instance, if this was just, you know, even just like a Rulumaya here, Olivia here, and Jack here, like he's having a grand old time just punching things in the face until it dies, getting 40% Ogi bar every turn. Like he just like he's fine. He's happy as can be. There's probably like definitely other setups that he can be used in. You know, like he'd probably be even better in a mana diver setup. Maybe even Necromancer, maybe. But you know, it's just like his kit seems pretty good. It's just slightly unfortunate that he's attached to the collab, but we'll have to see, or the collab banner. We'll have to see how uh the actual free units pan out. Because to be fair, Rimuru wasn't like Rimuru and Tempest Boy actually weren't too bad on the power scaling. I don't know. Supposedly there was somebody on the Reddit that was talking about how Rimuru was like busted for Aragon, and I tried him like twice. I couldn't figure out how the fuck they were like he was supposedly busted for Paragon, which is why I just went back to my light Kengo setup, especially once I got Goblin Mage. Or Goblin Mage is like so good. Ah, oh, Goblin Mage is like it's so weird to me. Like she just flew so hard under the radar. And it was like I remember seeing her kit and I was just like, bro, that is literally one of the most disgusting like standard characters kits I've seen in a while. And lo and behold, I think she's like a 9.7, 9.8. No, 9.7 I think is what they put her at. Like she was pretty highly ranked. I'd have to like double check. Her ranking might have dropped a little bit. Because like Yatima originally was like 9.7 and they bumped her up to 9.8 because she's really good in long fights. And especially, they're saying she's really good in like the really hard fights right now. Uh, yeah, my only main concern is power creep. Like I'm really hoping that their response to like if the Nejima banner also like doesn't do well, that instead of just them kind of acquiescing and either like shifting away from the collab banners and then doing something with the gacha characters, whether putting that in the standard pool or something, or like, you know, making the rates better. They just like make the gacha collab characters just more busted. Because that is definitely a quick way to get people that are already like jumpy about uh the current power creep of seasonal characters be like absolutely feral rabid creatures. That's when we're really gonna see the doomer posts. That'll make the doomering from the announcement of relics just be like, oh, that's gonna make it seem so fucking just so tame in comparison if they did something like that. I do need to get back into doing my Diaspora, though. Need to at least get those up and running. I need to put together the team for Cosmos to see if I can at least start. I don't know about, well, I guess maybe, yeah, hosting it and like seeing how good I can do with it, and then see if I can get like a weapon or two from that. I don't know if there's anything actually like super useful without having to mark to it. I'm too lazy to mark to like any of the weapons, even though I should. Granted, though, I guess in the cases for Diaspora, I think I have an excuse because I think I need a geisha stuff. I've kind of just been avoiding that fight, even though that one has some pretty good stuff from Magna. But yeah, I do. I still feel that I still find the reaction weird how people are like going on about the seasonal characters, because like there's still a lot of like non-seasonal characters that are really strong. I guess it's just because they just don't like it that, you know, something's limited and they have to wait for it to come back. Granted, though, I'll take the Grand Blue style of limited over the MiHoYo style of limited. Of when's the banner coming back? Who the fuck knows? It could come back every like 2 months. It could come back once a year. Mm. They're doing a better. The teams for Star Rail and Zenless are doing a better job of it though, because like for instance, Zenless already has done the rerun for Shark Goral, and then Star Rail has been doing like multi-banner stuff. Because like for instance, for me, every time I see like setups right for water and for earth, like I see Summer Razio, Summer Toughnut. My reaction is, man, too bad I didn't get those during when I sparked. Anyway, you know, try to find a different team setup. It's just it's kind of hard when the event's like Guild Wars because, well, Guild Wars is grinding time. It's not like Guild Wars. You're testing to see if you can find out how to do it faster. You're not testing how to like find like other setups for other people to use. especially when it comes to like characters and grids and stuff like that. And that's just always been that way. But that's just the nature of Guild Wars. One, it's literally the only competitive mode in the game, and two, it's a time constraint. Right, you only have a certain amount of hours in the day that the fights are available. So like it's part of the reason why I didn't like mess with my grid even though I should have, because I found a much better like team setup right towards the end. And I probably could have gotten some more honors along the way, even though it really wouldn't have mattered too much. Because I still don't think like even if I had the mana diver setup, I don't think I would have gotten to 800 mil. So shrugs. I mean, I probably could have gotten close. We were like 700 something. So probably would have been close enough to convince me to actually finish grinding to 800. Oh, keep hitting forks. I'm just writing verbatim. I don't know. Ever since I watched, there was a guy I used to watch for Final Fantasy Brave Exvius War of the Crystals when they did that game, right? I kind of stumbled upon him, and he had a very like uh interesting avenue of it, right? That like you can get feedback and you can do all that stuff, but he's like, I have this limit where I will put up like he's like I have a limit for how much like bullshit I'll put up for the gacha game. And the limit for that varies depending on how much I enjoy, you know, playing the gacha game. And ever since that, like it's the way I like viewed stuff for gacha games as in like limited characters and stuff. And not to mention mostly because out of all the gacha games I've played, again, Grand Blue Fantasy Limited is not really limited in comparison to other gacha games, the actual limited, right? Because like the reason I was mentioning earlier that I'm afraid that they'll do like the power scaling thing is because I played gacha games that were like that. I played gacha games that the collab characters, which were limited and you never knew if they were going to get rerun, some of which didn't get rerun, uh, would be incredibly powerful. Like sometimes borderline game breaking. And it's just like if you didn't get it, you're kind of just shit out of luck. And unless like the game breaking part is a bug, which in most cases it's not, it's like they can't really nerf the character because if they do, it's well in some places it's straight illegal. Like I think in Japan there's actual laws against it because that used to be a common thing that gacha games would do. They would like release an overpowered character, people would spend all their money on the banner, and then after the banner shifted, they would nerf the character so that way the next character that would be overpowered they would like pull for. At least I remember reading something about that. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just saying. I'm spitballing from memory because it's something I read like a couple years ago. I think it was on actually I think it was on the Grand Blue Reddit. At least someone posted like the article or whatever talking about it. But it's just like Grand Blue Limited is not actual limited. Like let's be real. It's just it's what it says. It's seasonal, right? Like it's well we missed it and we got to get it next time. And even then nowadays they've been mixing in you know putting in the seasonal banner characters like earlier or like out of their season so you have like another chance in the year to get them if you missed it. So shrugs. All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 19, 20, 21, 22. 1, 2, Shit. What did I miss? N50, print 2, A3, begin, E2, C0, test, MOV, C is B. Yeah, the stuff for this one was so fucking long that my brain couldn't keep up. If greater than A over B to B. New error Z1 over 2 over at B to 1 if B is a jump test. For 2 if Z equals 1 jump over 3 A over 3 at if A is less than or equal to N jump to begin. Something's gonna break in here. Yep. Wait, what even broke? Oh, right. I forgot to write that. Right. I forgot that I had to write a thing for if it's not like an actual value. Like a thing in the thing. A thing in the thingy. A thing in the thingy. I'll just do true. Oh wait, no. I'm messing with the wrong one. Okay. Equals print. What was the problem here? Invalid literal for int. Base 10 B. Oh. Right. Uh Oh, is this one also needed as numeric then? Mm-hmm. Year 50. Oh, wait, no, it's supposed to be 2. Alright. Why is 50 the problem? There shouldn't be a key of 50. MOVN. 012. Why is it saying a key error of 50? It's the 50 is not a key at all. Oh, is it because it's going here? It is. Why is it going here? Isn't is numeric supposed to return a bool? Yeah, it returns true. Oh, because it's 0 through 9. Shit. Um, hmm. I should probably do a try except then. Yeah, because this way it'll try. It'll try to turn the 50 into an int. If it can do that, it will then do this, then count +1. If it can't do that, it'll go to the accept, which will then just do it to the library values. Okay, now it's stuck in an infinite loop. Well, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. The question is where? One. Okay, we get stuck on the 3, it seems. No, we get stuck on the loop for 3 for some reason. Okay. Hmm. Can't believe this. He's supposed to be in jail and he's snoring. It ain't time for inmates to sleep. Okay, do we hit 9 at all? I don't even know what 9 is. Oh, I should never actually hit 9 because oh, is it? Oh no, because the count should eventually hit this. Or it should be greater than the program. Well, maybe not actually. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe the way I have the count set up is let me have it print count. Count's probably gonna like lose its absolute marbles, but how high does it get? It goes 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And it just keeps looping infinite there. 8 is... Make this easier on myself. Because the count should match what step it's at. Okay. So it's getting stuck on a loop of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. At 12, it hits jump new, which is technically 9. So that means my index is wrong. Oh wait, no, it's not. Fuck. Ugh. start at 0. Okay, here we go. So 8, 9. So it goes to 8, which is new. 9 is if c equals a, jump to error, which is here. Which then goes here to jump over to 2, which is here. Where this equals this, you jump over to 3, which is here, which is you add a1, and then if a is less than n, go all the way back to the beginning. So, but it's never making it past 12, which is jump new. Like it keeps looping in here infinitely, which means here somewhere I have it messed up. And the problem is here because I didn't give anything for equal on that check. So it's never going to be equal equal. So it's always just going to jump to new. Good to know. Ah, it's so good when you can just work something out. Man, I feel like I've come such a long way from when I started. It's so hard to tell. I hate listening to myself, so I don't like going back to being like when I started. But like I can tell I've come farther because of the fact that like when I would run into a problem, my initial reaction would be to run over to like Python tutor, which would like visually break it down, and then now I'm just using print statements to figure it out and stuff like that. Okay, so the issue is in the if statements. I didn't give it anything for if it was equal. Which was a mistake I made. Oh, that's not gonna work. Okay, where do you get stuck now? It's still getting stuck on 12. Does it equal not? Okay, so we know we're still getting stuck, so we'll comment this out. Is it not hitting here? No, it is. It's hitting that. So then where is the problem? Oh. This is gonna have to be a function. I need to make this its own separate function. I've now realized what the problem is. Because the problem is that I don't think there's like not an easy way to convert this into like from a string format into an operator. Yeah, it seems I'd have to import a library for that. Hmm. I am now realizing what the problem is. The issue is that like my stuff is set up for greater than equal to, was originally set up for greater than equal to, less than equal to, and then it was I added something for equal to, which to be fair, yeah. Um, but one of the commands has neither of those. One of them is greater than, and another one is less than. And so therefore it's not going to get caught. Hmm. Because you don't want them equal, is the thing. So it's not jumping correctly, I don't think. Or it's jumping when it's not supposed to. Or it's not jumping when it is supposed to. I don't know. I can't really tell actually. I mean, I know right now it's not jumping when it's supposed to, because it's supposed to jump over, but it's not, right? Like it's continuously going to jump new, right? Because step 12, index 12 is jump new, right? So it's one of these two isn't doing its job, and I'm assuming it's this one, because actually no, it could be both of them aren't doing their jobs. Hmm. No, the wrong one. Oh shit, that works. That works actually. How can I incorporate that then? Like this. They're pretty easy to test. Okay. So cmd plus equals if six greater than 7. I think that's everything we need for testing. Okay. So with if, what we would need to do is result is condition equals cmd command list 1 plus 2 plus 3. He was caught trying to escape prison. You see? He's a criminal. He didn't wait to make bail, nothing. He didn't wait for his sentencing to finish. He tried to escape from prison. You unrepentant criminal. Don't wag your tail at me. You know when you go back downstairs, you're on everybody's shit list. I mean, you're not on my shit list. You didn't growl at me, so I'm just doing whatever, but still. You stinky criminal. Whatever. I can't be mad at him. He behaved. He stayed in his cage for like almost 4 hours before even trying to open the door. I didn't lock the door at all. I just like kind of closed it in front of him. What are you sniffing? Oi. Stop sniffing. Sit. Boy. You're old and grumpy, but sit. Look your palm more. Pay attention. What are you doing? Stop growling at people. Oh my god, that makes this like 10 times easier. Okay, so what we need to write is, oh my god, I'm so glad the power of Google. I was trying to figure out, like, I felt like there had to be a way that you could make something like that work. And everything I found was talking about using, importing a library that has the operators like attributed to it. Why are you sniffing? Oh, sniffy. Sit. Fucking. And I was like, man, am I really gonna have to do that? Because it seemed like extra, like more. And so I kept digging and digging, and then someone mentioned that eval is a function that works, which is pretty good. Because what it does is it just automatically converts it, so I don't have to convert it into a string. Okay, so, well, we're gonna save this block somewhere else. Just in case we completely and totally brick the shit out of it. Okay. So what we're doing is we take this. Eval of condition true. And we need the jump function here. And if not, just count goes up. He is not fine. We're getting a different error now. Well, actually, we're getting an error now. So, we're making progress. Bro, this looks so clean in comparison. God damn. That 47. Name C is not defined. Oh, because it needs to be. Okay, I understand. But that's not gonna solve everything because I think there's one that just checks against a number. Oh no, it doesn't. No, yeah, it does. Equals 1. So we still need to have it do the checks. Where it's like if or no, if list 3 Eric. Which one is it have to be this one? Right? Oh shit, did I hit that? I hit something by accident. I like why is this one still a problem? Because value CMD list 1 is a string. CMD list 2 is a string. And then I'm casting this as a string. Dictionary. Hey, this should just be a. Is it? Dang it. Fuck it. Should have just F stringed it the whole time. Mm-hmm. Unterminated F string. Oh. Yeah, I didn't have the little thingy. Why is it still a problem? I just have to. I'll just do the same thing here. I was literally about to lose my shit. I was literally about to be like, why is there still a problem? Like, oh wait, never mind. I know it's a problem. I know why it's still a problem. Let's see if this is still a problem. Oh, did we fix it? Fix it? Let's go. Oh yeah. Feels good, baby. Now we're gonna make sure everything else works. Okay. Now, if nothing goes horribly wrong, all of these should work. Yep. Oh, it feels good when you get it done. Oh, that's so good. That's a fun project. That's why I want to work on it today. Learning this was huge though. The eval one. That was so huge. That's so good for cleaning that up. I felt like there had to be another way of doing that. Because doing the if else, like, with it, just, it felt so chunky. Like, I was like, there has to be. And even when I was seeing the, like, oh, import this, import that, I'm like, no, I'm like, no, there has to be a function that I can use. There has to be something I can just call that Python has. Like, I believe in Python. Python wouldn't let me down. Python did indeed not let me down. It works, and I made it. Let's go. Because I was about to just turn this into its own separate function. Funnily enough, technically, like I made the jump function because I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to do. Well, actually, I still would have done it anyway, right? Because like jump in and of itself is a solo command that you can do. So I still would have ended up making the function, but this cut down how many times it has to be called, which was huge. I'm gonna go like I understand why I enjoy doing this, because to me this is the same as when I used to work on cars and you had a car that didn't work and then you fixed it. When I used to do welding and you were welding something and it just, you know, and you passed like your bend exam, or you were just like building something and it worked. Like, it's that satisfaction of like preferably building something with your own hands. And it's just, it tickles my neurons and it makes me happy, which is probably why I find coding therapeutic at the moment. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some point where it makes me go reach for that bottle of whiskey in the future at some point, but today is not that day. Today is not that day. And the great part is, as we have finished the introduction to programming with that. So, that means it's time to go work on side projects. I was debating on whether I should, I'd be like, oh, so as a reward, we should play video games, but we're gonna play video games tonight anyway, and there's only like an hour left, so. Well, there's less than an hour left. There's like 30 something minutes left because that's when the last break is. But I mean, if I played a game, I'd be taking a break for the whole time. But yeah, no, this was really fun. Like, don't get me wrong. I will stick by my gripe that I had earlier that I wish that they did a better job of like pacing students into the way they handle their exercise verbiage, because again, it was really inconsistent throughout the course. Because at the beginning it was really inconsistent, and then towards the end it kind of got a little bit more inconsistent again. But it was like they had a pretty decent pacing in the middle of the introduction to programming. I have to see how it is in the advanced programming. I'm assuming that one might just be like, well, you should know what you're doing to some degree now, so probably be more of a conditioning you on how to think like a programmer than to just be like, hey, do this. But at least I'm imagining, like, I don't know, but it's just like, this project was good. This project was fun. I enjoyed it once I like said, once I got over the gripe of like, man, I don't know what the fuck it wants me to do, because my brain hadn't been conditioned to read and like the entirety of the project, right? Like I had some issues on the projects before where I was like, man, I really don't understand what it's telling me to do. But that was less because of an issue with like it just didn't tell you like hey, you're going to be using these sorts of things and stuff like that, or you're going to be making a function. So this one literally was just like, use what you've learned to make this work, was basically the gist of it, like starting it off. And it's kind of just blindsided you with it, because if I had written this this final page for the course leading into giving this exercise, you would have given some hint of mentally preparing the person of, by the way, this exercise that you're coming up to is more like, this isn't like something pertaining to what we've just covered, talking about making multiple variable parameters and stuff like that. Like, this is basically in this case I would say this would be like the midterm for it, because this is like the halfway point. I don't know how the break points for the actual course is supposed to be, since it's like just one long thing on the left hand side, just divided in half between introduction and advanced. But I like, it doesn't have to be like anything like superfluous or very long or anything like that. You just have to put like a short little paragraph that's like, now that you should feel a bit more comfortable, blah blah blah, we've give a really quick synopsis about just the general things you've covered. And then after that, you lead into, here's an exercise, use what you've learned to make this work, right? To make this do the things you want to do. Because the only thing I really had to Google that they hadn't really taught us, but again, like, I think at this point, it's kind of fair to be a bit less like hand-holdy and, kind of be a bit more, because they already told us about visiting the Python website and doing stuff like that, like repeatedly. Like, they did a really good job of, when we were doing the import stuff, of just being like, you're going to be wanting to look at this, you're going to want to read this, you're going to want to know where this website is, you're going to want to be visiting this, right? Like that kind of deal, which was really good, because that's what I was doing, right? Like whenever I was getting stuck on things, like later on, I was just going instantly to the website, be like, okay, is there something that, like, it's like, oh, it wants me to print this dictionary, but it wants it to look like a JSON. Is there something in JSON that does that? Couldn't really find it, kind of just moved on, because it still printed the dictionary as is. I probably could have tested whether it turns into a JSON file the way I had written it, and then probably would have taken that as confirmation that I wrote it correctly. But I was like, it's returning the values in the dictionaries that it wants. I think that it's perfectly fine to just move on from there. And then if I run into an issue with writing JSON files in the future, then I'll just like tackle it then a little bit. Because at least in the more immediate future, I don't really foresee myself writing a JSON file versus like writing a CSV or just a text document. Because none of the projects I have on hand right now would use anything past like a CSV. Like, cause like for instance, like the Granblue calculator, I plan on having that be in a CSV format because it fits very perfectly, right? I know I have exact indexes that won't change, that will have their values, and I don't have to worry about it, right? Like stuff like that. And it's just like for instance, there'll always be a regular animal one, there will be an omega animal one, there will be a number of weapons you are making, there will be a transcendence level, and there will be an element, right? Like the number of variables that I need to keep track of will not change depending on like you know, from one to the next. So in that case, I feel a CSV file is very good because then you can put it in Excel, you can do whatever. Because CSV files usually, like the first line, right, is you put what the actual column categories are, and then you go from there. In regards to the meal plan ones, obviously it's a text file. Why would I need to do a dictionary? I mean, could I use a dictionary? Yeah, but I feel like it's kind of unneeded. Like I don't really think I need to do a JSON file for it. I could just for practice sakes, right? But realistically speaking, I don't think it's really worth the trouble, if that makes sense. And but I'd like to visit JSON file. Like this isn't a topic of me being like, oh, I don't need it, I'm not gonna learn it. Like I'm gonna learn it. I'd like to learn it. The more tools you have in your back pocket, the better. Even if, you know, whether it's for finding work or just being good at stuff, like that's just how it works. And not to mention, I like learning and I enjoy this process. I may as well just learn it and get better at it eventually. It's just, I think right now, it's like one of the big things when you're learning a new skill is not to overload yourself with like information and stuff. And right now, I just tackling how to effectively write a CSV in a text file and having that be able to be, you know, read by the program and written to and stuff like that is more important to me than learning an entire new data like file like save type. So kind of my thought process on that. But I don't know, this project was really fun. It was fun because like I had to sit there and I had to figure it out because everything, again, well, it was a bit of a tangent, but everything in here, right, like it was stuff that we learned, right? You know, you have a list, you index through a list, you splice stuff, right? Like I didn't do anything super complicated in here. Is numeric is something they taught us. The only thing I didn't get taught, or at least I don't remember being taught, was the eval one, which I just had to Google it. But I think at this stage where you're at the end, you know, I think like they probably could have done a little thing of like, you know, like again, it is kind of just a bit of a case of like, you've learned now, you should now be used to searching for information, stuff like that, and then like moving from there. Because the reason I even started, well, I mean, at this point it's just habit because of the side project stuff. When I get stuck, I just start Googling if there's something I want to do, but I can't really figure out how to do it, and it seems too bulky the way I'm doing it. I try to like look into it. I try to avoid the import libraries at the moment because, again, I kind of want to just make sure I have like the basics down pat of like how to write things myself. But it's just like I mean, I'll still use libraries. Like libraries are great, but like, you know, I can get my own practice in on importing stuff on making my own. Like, you know, like I have the import file creation function sheet, which I honestly 10 out of 10 for them having that as an actual part of the course. Because in the MIT course we did do importing, but we did importing with date time, and I don't think we physically got to do like an exercise with it. It was just given as an example. Oh no, we did. It was, well, kind of did. It was with the stopwatch or sports watch, whatever that one was called, where we were like designing the internal workings of like one of those fancy, you know, watches that you wear that keep track of like your heartbeat and all that, like Fitbit and stuff like that. But here they had us go make a file that had a function in it, then import that specific file over. They explained, you know, the limitations of doing that, like it has to be in the directory or in like, you know, somewhere close that it can just pull it normally. Well, in this case, because there's a way you can make it work with a path, it's just that I'm pretty sure it's like way easier just to have the files together where they need to be, especially when you're making a program. So that I think was a really, really good lesson, because even though I already knew it, it was good practice. I enjoyed it because, you know, you never really know. You can't really cover everything, right? And especially when you're like learning by yourself, right? I don't have like an instructor. I don't have like a teacher that I can be like, hey, what about this? Because like when I was taking my associate's degree, like I'm very enthusiastic about computers. Uh, Whenever they would say something and I'd have like an idea, I'd be like, well, what if we did this and what if we did that? And either, you know, I'd get like one of three answers. Usually the first answer was try it out, see what happens. Second answer was usually, oh, that's a pretty good idea. You know, this is what would happen, blah, 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 blah. Or, yeah, seems good, but this is what would happen if you did that, and blah, blah, blah. And usually 2 and 3 would cycle back to 1 because the teachers were really big on being like, we're going to explain to you what happens, and then we want you to do the thing so you can understand, like, in front of you, doing it, how it reacts, right? And then you react to it. And that was really good. And, like, I usually am very, I'm usually very I'm trying to find the word. I kind of lean towards that teaching style a lot more because that's how I learn. Like again, I'm someone who it's like yes, I know putting vinegar on baking soda will make it go but my brain goes, well, what if it doesn't, right? So then my brain goes, let's just put vinegar and baking soda and see what happens, you know, that sort of thing. To be fair, there's like some degrees of control to it, right? Like when I was doing chemistry and I was in the lab and they were like, make sure you don't mix these two chemicals together like this or else you'll cause an explosion. And I'm just like, it crossed my mind a couple times, you know? I didn't do it, but I may have held that bottle and kind of been like, but what if? No, but the problem is that if you do it, you get in trouble. Especially since they specific, like if in the same lesson doing it would get you in trouble. Because we had one guy accidentally, like, it wasn't like a full explosion, it was just like, it went up and then made a mess. But it was a mixture that they warned us about like 2 weeks prior. And since the lab was like once a week, it's kind of like a case of like, you forget, that's just, it happens. To be fair, like it happens because one of the TAs from one of the labs like later in the week, like actually blew up the lab a little bit, which was kind of funny. And you know, that guy was, I think, on his second year working on his master's. So you know, it happens. It happens. You forget, little oopsies, oopsie doopsie, boom, explosion. You know, it's normal. It happens to everybody. But yeah. But no, this project was fun because, you know, I had to sit there and think. I will say they did a really good job of pacing the program examples, right? Like I don't have the first one, which was just making it print 1, 2, 3. But they had really good steps in like complexity to have it test different things, right? Because like I did 1, 2, 3, and that one, you know, I just tackled exactly what I would need for that those commands. And then once we went to this one where we needed to start doing the jumps and the quits and stuff like that, that's when I was like, all right, now we're going to write in the jump function. That's where we're going to do the if statements. That's where we're going to do the jump statements, like, you know, stuff like that. Then when we moved into this one, I kind of cheated because I was like, oh, wait, I need to do the multiplication one. So we put that in there. This one, I think, didn't take us too long. I think this one was, yeah, what took us was this, the less than equal to one. That's the one where it brought to light that that was a problem, which then caused this to break for a little bit. So then I had to fix this. Like I had to fix it for that. And then this one was particularly fun because by then I already had a handle of what I needed to do. And it was pretty easy to figure out. Like because we had gotten stuck in an infinite loop on, I was thinking it was this one. So we got stuck in an infinite loop. And then I think we infinite looped on this one for a little bit. But I was already used to like how to check it. The count thing was so nice, even though it made me have to do this because it was every time I'd have to count, right? Like, like I was like, oh, it's at like, it's going 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You know, it's going like 8 through 12. And then I was about to count which ones, and I was like, wait a second, let me just fucking write this shit out and do this instead. And in my dumbassery, I forget that it's numbered here. So, you know, embarrassing. But, you know, I'm not thinking about this, right? I'm just thinking, like, I just need numbers. To be fair, it doesn't work exactly, right? Because it starts at 1, and I needed it to start at 0. So I would have had to renumber it anyway. But the first time I numbered it 1, 2, 3, 4, like, I should have just looked to the left and been like, I should have just been like, oh, wait. This already does that. Oops. Like, uh, funny, fun times. But yeah, this is enjoyable. They've had a lot of projects that I enjoyed doing, to be honest. Because it was one of the things I really didn't like about MIT. MIT was like, it was like too mathematical, if that makes sense. And I understand why it's a bit more mathematical. Because in this one, we did a lot of different exercises throughout. But a lot of I'm just going to compare like lecture to lecture, not necessarily like exercise to exercise, because I didn't do all the exercises for MIT. I predominantly just did the whatever exercises were in the course, plus whatever like extra little exercises at the bottom. And then there's like this other website that I think is for the more current curriculums, that they had like extra like little exercises there, and I did that. My complaint with MIT is that all of it was very just numerical math, right? Like it was fine, we're using quadrilateral. I don't know. 1 second, let me. But my brain is not quadrilateral. No, quadratic. Jesus, why did I try to put an L in there? My brain is dying. Like quadratic formulas, right? We're finding the area of a circle. We're comparing the length of one point to another point. Like, it was very mathematical. And to be fair, you're going to use math in coding. It's like part of how it works. But at the same point, there's also a lot of things that you don't use math in coding, right? Like, at least I don't need to be tossing a quadratic formula at something that just needs to check if things are spelled correctly. But that sort of stuff wasn't really being taught in the MIT thing. Again, makes sense. The MIT course is Introduction to Computer Science. This is an Introduction to Programming. That title in and of itself should tell you the difference between the focus of both, right? One's a bit more focused on the sciencey back end of this is how things work, which generally denotes to more mathematical things. Not to mention, I wouldn't be surprised if the MIT course kind of angles more towards prepping people for the more mathematical, sciencey approach of like what you're going to be coding for, because it's MIT. Even though, like, it's a high institution, but MIT is known for engineering, sciences, and math stuff. It's kind of what they do. And tech and all that stuff. So obviously when they teach a course specifically that's in like pretty deeply involved with technology, they're probably going to lean towards teaching it a certain way. This one seems a bit more towards teaching you how to like use it for multiple different scenarios, right? Like I've done math. Like for instance, this was about I know this was like prime numbers was here. This was multiplying by base 10 to get these numbers. This one was also math, just adding and subtracting. Like they do math stuff. It's just that they also teach a bunch of other stuff. Like, I was really glad to get practice in on like manipulating files and reading and writing to that. That was really, really good. I really enjoyed that. The biggest thing with it is was learning CSV files, because I was kind of not too happy with using text files for what I wanted for like, for instance, the Grand Blue Fantasy Calculator. I had always been thinking of like, well, I kind of want it to be usable in Excel spreadsheets, right? Well, I had put that on my list of, well, I want to learn how to like make a file that is usable for Excel spreadsheets. Lo and behold, the course was like, here's CSV files. This is used for Excel spreadsheets. This is how the data is saved. And this allows you to open it in a text file and an Excel file. There you go. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it. It really like cemented that I wanted to do that for how I wanted to write the file for certain things. It gave me practice on like, kind of like writing something, making a list, having that write to the file in the list format, like having it attributed to certain things. Like it was really good. I think the course like did a really good job. I will say, again, I don't know if it's a bit of a like translation thing, because it's not at least I don't think it is. I don't think it's a translated document. Like I don't think it was something that was written in Finnish and then translated to English. Like I think the person who wrote it is probably just someone who teaches at the school and then wrote it in English, because you can kind of just tell when a document's just translated, even if it's like edited along the way, because there's like some things that just don't make sense. But the way they described things, I wasn't a too fan of sometimes, right? Like for instance, in this exercise in and of itself, they used this. It was called the print. Well, every time we used print before, and anytime it was brought up in an exercise, the print's function, this, because that's what tripped me up a little bit on when I was like writing the first one. I was like, what do they mean print? Because it's the sample output is not showing multiple things. It's showing one list being printed, which that list that's being printed is this print. So they used the word print up here, and because in none of the courses prior to that they had used this as like some sort of word for you know, adding to a list, because obviously when you add to a list you're appending, not printing to the list. It like kind of threw me off. When they were talking about how like capitalization doesn't matter, right? Even for me, where I understood that capitalization, or where Python is a very case sensitive language, which coding in general is very case sensitive, especially when you're checking for values, it was really like, what the fuck, when they were like, well, case, like, you know, uppercase, lowercase doesn't matter. Well, that's not inherently true. What they mean is that your code should be able to take any input and then check it against what's on there, which generally means converting either all of it to uppercase or all of it to lowercase, because it's the easiest thing to do. Like stuff like that, you know. I think there was one exercise where they kind of like explained it. I think it was like after the fact. They were like, it should be able to like check the words together, like something like that. And I was like, you know, that's a bit closer to what they should say. But just being like, oh, you know, uppercase doesn't matter is kind of a bit of a bait, I guess we could call it, if we're going to call it like with like gaming terms. It's a bit of a bait, because again, this is like, you have to remember, this is a course for beginners. Is it gonna rain again? I swear if it rains again, I'm gonna be let me check the weather. This is basically one long break time. It isn't, but because I'm kind of organizing my thoughts. No, it's not supposed to rain, at least not today. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. They kind of like, they did a bit of a poor job, and like sometimes the assignments, they would bait me. To be fair, MIT did that too. MIT set me up for failure on one of theirs, because they initialized what do you want? You still have like 30 minutes. You still have 30 minutes. You can wait. MIT had that one example where it was like, here's the template, you know, the starting template, like write the rest yourself. And it was when I was working with class objects, which I'm assuming that's going to be in the advanced course, because we haven't touched that in the MOOC course yet, is the class object stuff. And I'm looking forward to dealing with that, because I like to, because the class objects is kind of fun. To be fair, just because it's a bunch of functions like super glued together because they work. But like it was a case of like every once in a while they would like toss something in there that would just be, it just confused me. Like I wouldn't really understand. And then if I just omitted the sentence, I would understand. Like it was really weird. And that, I don't know if it's just like a difference in mentality, right? Like it's one of the pitfalls that people that are very experienced at a topic tend to fall into when they're teaching someone who isn't very experienced in a topic. Is it's hard, like it's a pretty whatchamacallit, it's pretty hard when you know something to think in a way where you pretend you don't know it, right? Like having to explain to someone how 2 + 2 works when you already intrinsically understand it on a subconscious level, and then someone tells you 2 + 2, you go 4, right? Like you don't even think about it anymore because you know, right? But someone who doesn't know that, you having to teach them can get pretty hard for like a lot of people. And obviously that's a gross oversimplification of the matter, but you know, it's like when you're working with cars, right? Like for instance, like whenever our cars act up, it's like the amount of times that my parents have been like, oh, there's the car's like slow on accelerating, and I'm just like, well, did you check the spark plugs? And I don't even pay attention to when they replace their spark plugs because they don't tell me, right? Because I'm not in charge of like the vehicle maintenance, right? Like I'm just here for whenever shit kind of gets out of whack to like be like, oh, did you check X, Y, Z? And it's just like, you know, because like my dad will be like, oh, it's this, and it's that, and I'm like, and I look at mom when she was taking it, I'm like, tell them that when they finish checking that to check the spark plugs. And she looks at me and she'll be like, okay. And then she'll like walk off. Like she'll go off to the stuff and then she'll come back and she'll be like, how'd you know? And I was just like, I don't know. You just know. It's like it's one of those things when you start messing with cars a lot, and it has to deal with like ignition and acceleration, like one of the first steps you check is the spark plugs. Because a lot of times the reason why you're like the reason why sometimes if you get that thing where you're accelerating and your like engine feels a little bumpy or like the acceleration feels slow and stuff like that, like more often than not it's usually because the spark plugs are getting gunked up and it's time to replace them, because that's just what happens, right? Like the residue of the explosions in the engine, like they stick to the spark plugs. Like that's how it works. Unfortunately, they haven't really figured out a way to, I mean they might have, but I think even like the super high-end cars still have that problem too. So it's just like, you're not going outside yet, you still have 30 minutes, I'm streaming, I'm begging. The like, you know, it's just sometimes it's just hard to dial it back, and I think sometimes like for in their case, you know, maybe to someone who's experienced in coding you go, yeah, it shouldn't matter if it's uppercase or lowercase. You know, to someone else who's like experienced would be like, oh, okay, that means I'll just like hard force it lower when I write it in the program to make sure, right? Like that sort of deal. And it's just like sometimes it gets hard to remember that those little details can trip up someone who's, you know, taking an introduction to programming course, who's gonna see that and go, oh, that means I don't have to worry about like hard changing something, right? Like stuff like that. Like, and it's hard. Like they do their best. It's hard to teach stuff, honestly. It's why I don't like teaching stuff. Even though when I was like younger, usually my teachers would have me tutoring people in the classes because I would usually be pretty far ahead. And I had a disgustingly good track record of anybody that I tutored would go from failing the class to passing the class. It was really funny. I used to be what is it? When I went to the second high school, I was taking algebra 2, and I had such a good handle on algebra at that time because my algebra 1 teacher was really good. That I was like finishing the homework for that day before that lecture was done because I kind of already knew what I was doing. And my algebra teacher was just like, oh, then can you help these students? Which the guys I started helping were people I was friends with anyway, so I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And then eventually I started just like tutoring some of the other people. And the class I was in was not like a very high score class when I like before I started doing that. And we went from like, you know, me having A's and B's and the next student being like a C, D student to at least everybody I was tutoring, because like it was just smart usage of the resources, but everybody I tutored went from getting like D's and F's to getting like solid C's. And then, you know, everybody that obviously was getting tutored with the teacher were getting like B's and stuff like that, like B's and C's. So it brought our entire like grade average up, that we went from being like one of the lowest grade point average classes even with my A's to being like the highest in that year, which is really funny. And I had to do that in a couple of classes. I did that in English too in junior year. Actually, same year, I think. Yeah, because I didn't. Yeah, junior year I did a lot of tutoring in a bunch of my classes because my my teachers were just like, "Oh, you already finished? Tutor. Go help that one. Go help that problem child you're friends with over there." There's one guy in my English class junior year that if it wasn't because we were friends and we sat next to each other and my teacher was like, "Help him." It was he wouldn't have passed. He was just like, yeah, I wouldn't have passed that class if it was for me. I was like, you're welcome. Buy me some snacks or something from the gas station for lunch later. That's so funny. But I don't like tutoring people. I like tutoring on like my own terms, I guess, if that makes sense. Because it's just like I couldn't do it as a job. Because like there's definitely some people that I would have to like tutor. Like for instance, in sophomore year, right? I'm fluent in Spanish. Speaking it, I'm a little like hesitant on it because I try like I speak. It comes out pretty fluidly when I speak with my parents, but for some reason when I don't, when I speak with people who also speak Spanish but don't, but you know, are my parents, I get like stuttery and kind of like second guess myself, so it's like not very good. But I have a really good grasp on like English to Spanish translation. Like I can basically follow an entire conversation depending on like the the region of the people speaking because there's sometimes slang that's just gonna go over my head and stuff like that. But that like differs from wherever from place to place. And in uh sophomore year of high school, I was in my break class for this honestly just turned into an hour break, but it's fun. But my break class was or advisory, whatever it was called, advisory period. It's that little like break in between classes that you have that you know if you had like an all day course, and actually no, I think even I had AB schedule, we had it, but it was like at the end of the day. Um, that's just that little class where you would like go in, and sometimes you could go to like other classes if you needed tutoring and stuff like that. Well, sophomore year I had the Spanish 1-3 teacher, because there was one teacher that taught Spanish 1 and 3 and the other teacher taught Spanish 2 and 4. And the Spanish 1-3 teacher, who I had already taken the Spanish 1 course for, had me like they were my advisory class I was in, and they would have their Spanish 3 students come in and get tutoring, obviously like for extra work there. But oh my god, there's no Celeste on. And sometimes if she was really busy with having the Spanish 1 kids come in and having the Spanish 3 kids come in at the same time, which would happen every once in a while, she would look at me and be like, go help the Spanish 3 kids. And I'd be like, ugh, fine, okay. You know, which was really funny because the first time I did it, I knew one of the Spanish 3 kids because they were someone who like, they skipped Spanish 1 and 2 and went straight to Spanish 3 because it was their freshman year. And while I did the lazy route where I just took Spanish 1 and 2 because I needed like 2 years of Spanish for at the time for that to be able to graduate from that high school, like that was part of the hard requirements. So I just took the lazy way of getting 2 easy A's. Don't regret it, honestly, at all whatsoever. So they knew that I was a very fluent Spanish speaker, because my family was friends with her families because both of our family were military. So like we knew each other. But like the other 3 bozos didn't know. And they got real snarky because they were just like, are you Spanish 4? And I was like, no, I'm Spanish 2. And they had the look of like, why the hell are we getting tutored by a Spanish 2 person? We're in Spanish 3. And well, I don't take kindly to attitude. So I spent the next like 20 minutes calling them morons, because they were getting some of the things that I considered really simple wrong every time. And, oh my god, I got so snarky. I'd be like, man, the Spanish 2 guy teaching Spanish 3, but apparently you guys need to go back to Spanish 0 because you can't even write a sentence. I was so bad, and it was funny because like you could hear like the teacher who was like the Spanish, you know, she's a Spanish teacher, and she'd be like over there teaching the Spanish 1 students, and you would hear her chuckle because she would hear me, and then she would turn around and be like, be nice. And I was like, you can't be nice to stupid, it just makes them worse. I had a grand old time. That's why I can't tutor for money, because if I get stuck with a snarky child, I'm just gonna call him a dumbass the whole time, and then I'm gonna get fired. And then you get bad reviews, and then you don't get hired. But I don't know. It was all right. The other problem is just sometimes it gets really frustrating. Like I used to play World of Warcraft a lot, and whenever we had like new players to the guild who were like new, and or they had never played like Warrior or Death Knight. As the person who generally all I ever played in World of Warcraft was Warrior and Death Knight, most people, like most of the upper guild ranks would point towards me, because the only other person that had as much experience as I did wasn't exactly the most sociable person. Like we were friends, and he was friends with like the rest of us, but if you tried to be like, hey, teach this new person like how to be, like, could you teach this new person how to like play Warrior or Death Knight, he'd be like, no. Sure, cracked me up. And meanwhile, if they asked me, I'd be like, I'll try, right? Like, I'll give it a try. If someone's a little too dumb, they're a little too dumb. You know, sometimes there's no saving people. You just gotta teach them the basics and go from there and just let them do their thing. And we had this one person, bless their soul. They tried really hard to get really good at warrior, and the most they could ever do was just the bare minimum. And you know what? It was good enough because they were on the team with the other people that, you know, couldn't really keep up with mechanics, but they were, you know, they got their goal, which was to see the normals and all that. The only thing that sucked, that made me and my buddy like cry in a corner, is I don't know if they still do it, but at the time there was still tier sets for armor. So, you know, you would have armor pieces that would have an additional effect that once you wore like a certain number of them, you got an extra bonus. And the bonus would differ depending on what spec you were in. The bonuses were really fucking strong. Me and my buddy were stuck at like 2-piece bonus for so long, and this other person got really lucky and they had full 4-piece, the transmog glamour, you know, just the visual fancy weapon to drop, and got the like the 2 best in slot trinkets, like I think after like 3 weeks of raiding, while me and my buddy were struggle busing to get everything else, which also partly made me feel bad for the other person because yeah, they had all that and they still weren't doing very well. It also was like not very fair because sometimes like the other guys would be like, how are you doing? Because I would always play the spec that was like the weakest. I always played Fury Warrior. I didn't care. I don't like playing arms. There was, well, actually I take that back. There was a little bit of time where in Battle for Azeroth, Arms Warrior was actually kind of fun to play. And I'd bounce between the two depending on what I was doing. And I would have the gear for both of them just fine because you needed different gear for each. But like I generally always play Fury, and Fury is usually the spec that at the beginning of an expansion is really, really weak, and then towards the middle to end of an expansion is usually pretty strong because, well, they're pretty weak at the beginning, so they get a bunch of buffs and items and shit that make them really strong towards the end. And you know, I'd play Fury Warrior, and I'd pull pretty good DPS for a Fury Warrior, but pretty low for everybody else. And it was just like, they'd be like, how are you outgearing him, have better equipment than him, but you do like way less damage than him? And I'd be like, all right, calm down. We know they haven't played this game at all, and I've put like almost 10 years into this game. That's not even a fair comparison. Like, bro, people are ruthless in gaming sometimes. And it's not like we were even a high-end guild anyway. Right? It was just like, look, I'm gonna need y'all to simmer down, right? Because I'm pretty sure I put the rest of y'all on Warrior, y'all wouldn't be doing much better, so shush. I don't tell y'all how to play Shamans, don't tell Warriors how to play Warriors. Oh, it was so funny though. It was also really funny because one time we had a mage who was playing like the #1 broken class at the time, which I think was Fire Mage at the time that this happened. And they were just like, yeah, I'm gonna do so much damage, blah 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 blah, la 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 la. Poor guy. We didn't cut him, to be fair, at all, because the funny part is that he just sucked on Fire Mage, like absolutely sucked. He just was not good at keeping up with the heating up procs and all that kind of stuff. And just, I don't know, there's something about how Fire Mage plays and he just didn't get it, because there was one time I ran a dungeon, like, and he was in the group, but he was in Frost Mage, like Frost spec at the time for Frost Mage. And Frost Mage at the time was like, it was solid. It was like middle of the pack. It wasn't broken, right? Like, but it was good. Like, you could use it. You definitely used it in dungeons because it brought a lot of like really good utility on top of the damage, especially in like AoE situations. And I noticed he was tearing it up. Like his numbers were really fucking high, even on boss fights. And I was like, I went to my buddies who like, they run the guild. I was like, make him show up to the raid as an ice mage. And they were like, we need a fire mage. I was like, make him show up to the raid as ice mage. Like, do it. So he made him frost mage. Homie tore it up. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he just likes looking at the spears and knows when to chuck them out, or I don't know, you know, he's just been playing Frost spec forever, or Ice spec, whatever the fuck it's called for the mages. Every time I say Frost, I imagine Death Knight, because Death Knight is like Frost DK and Holy DK, Blood DK. But like, he was tearing it up. To be honest, I think it was just because of the gear. Because the weird thing about World of Warcraft is you could play a class, and every single spec on that class would want different stats on their gear because they would weigh towards different things. Which is both like a good and a bad thing, because you know it's good because if you get a piece of gear that doesn't have the stats you need for for uh for what you're playing, but you're like interested in playing a different spec, you're just like, well, I have the gear, I can transfer, right? And you can just bounce back and forth, which is what I did when I was playing Arms Warrior, where I was dabbling at it. If I got like pieces of gear while I was trying to farm for for Fury Warrior, if I got a bunch of Arms Warrior stuff, I would just play Arms Warrior, call it good, you know, and vice versa. But yeah, I don't know. It's just moral of the story is sometimes when you're trying to teach someone who don't know what's going on, like you got to kind of take a couple steps back, and if you see them kind of getting tripped up on things that you consider just straight back, like, you know, kind of just no brainer, duh, this is, you should just know this. Sometimes you have to step back and be like, wait, is this stuff that people should actually know, or like off the rip, or is it stuff that like, yeah, you should know this if you've been playing it for like, you know, been doing it for a while, you know, that kind of deal. But yeah, anyway, I'm just gonna end early because tonight is another night of trying to figure out what I have to do, whether I have to like cook dinner. I was able to scrounge together some food without having to cook last night, so that'll be, oh crap, pause the thing. That'll be I don't know if I'll be able to do that today, but yeah. So tonight is whatchamacallit, Arcarum night. It'll probably just be like 2 hours of Arcarum because I want to Delta Force, but I'll just Delta Force off stream, try to get the last couple kills I need to get Hot Claw. But yeah, we're gonna do Arcarum, try to get, we are almost done with the Lesters, thankfully, so hopefully we can get the Lesters done and I can move on to farming the other stuff. I need to remember to do nice skips through Arcarum because I've been sitting at full tickets for a long time now. But yeah, it was our interview. Have a good day. It was our interview. I hope you're well. Stay safe, stay hydrated. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.